Hello, Jeff Helvin here with Ballen Brands, and today I want to answer a question that we get asked from time to time, which is my website ADA compliant? Now, ADA stands for American Disability Act, and there are certain things for those with disabilities that they need to be able to access on the website in order for us to be compliant. Now, as a general rule, a lot of the those who have disabilities might have tools on their website, or I'm sorry, on their computer, that would allow them to see things differently, or let's say if there's like a color or brightness issue, their computer a lot of times can accommodate that. But if the website is counteracting some of those things, well, then of course we would not be ADA compliant. There are actual lawsuits going around from legal teams that are representing those with disabilities that are finding websites that aren't ADA compliant, and sometimes threatening to sue or get some sort of fine, or to pay a fine. So it's a serious thing. However, it's not really an easy just yes it is or it isn't. Okay, there's a checklist of items. There's quite a few things that you can do, of course, to be compliant, and things that we want to take a look at as a general rule. So I just want to explain some of those differences and kind of how to protect yourself here. So first and foremost, websites, we need to make sure that they're fluid. And what I mean by that is that if everything's designed in just a graphic, or there's some sort of important information in a graphic, well then the tools that are used on computers are not able to read those. So if we have, like, let's say our slogan here, reach new heights, if we had that as part of the graphic, it wouldn't actually be readable, maybe with someone who's not visually able to see the page and they have to have a reader. So we want to make sure that anything important is done in text. Okay. We also want to make sure that you can see I can like blow the fonts up and down, right? Different sizes just by using tools. So that's good. That's a compliancy thing, meaning it does work. You'll notice like our logo, for example, right, gets a little bigger and smaller, but they wouldn't be able to read the words Ballen Brands because it's tied into the actual logo. So again, a reader would not necessarily be able to read that because it's not text like this is that I can highlight here. So those are the little things. Now, there's things that we can do, such as alt tags. So it is suggested or required to be compliant that we use what's called alt tags, which is alternate text. So what that means is that these programs would actually be able to read what it is. So I might, for alt text here, I might use Ballen Brands logo, for example. So they know what it is that's on the page that's being scanned. So there is some checklists. There's a website called siteimprove.com. They do offer like services, but they've offered this kind of ADA compliance checklist. Now, what's interesting is that the ADA website itself, ada.gov, isn't fully compliant itself. So there's little things like the fact that this title is in an image. It might have an alt tag, but that's not ideal, right? It's better that it's in there. So we've got this is all, a lot of text that's in that image. But the point is that this is a place you can go if you really want to learn more about all of it, what ADA compliance is, what it means. But again, there's sometimes these nice little checklists that we can look. So basically, in order to be compliant, you need to read the law. That's the idea. So if you don't read the law, then how can you be compliant? Because you don't really know what it is. All media files and maps should have an alt tag. So that's like I was just describing with the logo. All your online forms should have descriptive HTML tags, things like that. So these are all, it's a checklist of items. Now, by default, most of your standard WordPress website content and things like that are going to be ADA compliant. When we build forms, if I go, let's say, to our contact us page, and we have a form here on this page, we are descriptive with what's supposed to be in each one. Okay, so little things like that. It's almost built in. Most tools now kind of do that by default, but not all of them. So it's something you want to definitely take a look at. Another thing is we have plugins that we install on our website. Sometimes third-party services. Are those ADA compliant, right? Those are still kind of your responsibility, but we don't always have control over what's being fed to the website. So I make these points because there are things we can do to help be ADA compliant, and ultimately that we would want to hope that kind of keeps us out of legal troubles. But really, to be fully ADA compliant, I mean, it's quite an investment, quite a process. So certainly not discouraging you from doing that, but I want you to understand that it's not just a simple thing. Now, with that being said, you can kind of go down the checklist, make sure your stuff's dialed in. There is a third-party service called userway.org, and what this does, it actually has this, it's a snippet of code. You can register for this particular tool, and it's a snippet of code that actually puts this accessibility menu on top of your website. So when I click on this over here, it actually will give me all the different available accessibility options. So screen reader, contrast, if I have a hard time with the colors, I can mess with that. So all of these little things that, bigger text, smaller text, right? All of these different things that help me basically better read. There's a larger cursor, maybe your stuff's too small, things like that. So there's a lot of different things here, reader guides that people might use. So it's a nice tool for those who have accessibility challenges, and it's something it's a good effort, okay, just to kind of make that point. So it doesn't necessarily mean your website is fully ADA compliant. It doesn't, again, that's a very kind of intense, costly thing to be fully ADA, like protected by the law type of compliant. But what we can find is that we do some of those standard things to just kind of help us be protected. So if we were ever hit with a lawsuit or something, and we show the steps that we've taken to be ADA compliant, then we serve a little better chance of not losing a case like that. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of insight. We'll include links below the videos here for the different websites that we reference if you want to get more information on that in particular. And if you have any questions or need any help, you can, by all means, always reach out to us at team@ballenbrands.com.